So over the last week or so, I have been doing a lot of testing with the Brave Token engine, and this isekai themed archetype is really good. Much like anime, I feel like anything that could be an isekai is probably going to be an isekai. This engine is just a little bit too good to ignore completely. So I gave some combos before in a previous video talking about Brave Token Tenyi as a possible option to run the deck. So I got the deck profile right here. To start things off, I am running 3 of our Useless Goddess Aquamancer. This card is one of the best cards in the deck since it just searches the best card in the deck, Rite of Armesia, so we're running this at 3. The only other monster for the Brave tokens we are running is Wandering Griffin Rider. This is the entire point of the engine, since this is just a free negate if you are running this package, and it's negate going first or second, so it's either a Called by the Grave for free, or it's a negate on the opponent's turn. It's a win-win either way. For our Tenyis, we are running triple light, triple dark, triple earth, 2 water, 1 wind, and 1 fire. We are running triples of light, dark, and earth because these are the best ones. Additionally, these get us into our Synchro 8 package, which is really strong. Normally in most Tenyi decks, I would say to run 3 of the water as well. Unfortunately, the water does not blend with this engine quite as well as I would have liked. Because in order to use its effect, you need to revive a normal monster that was destroyed by battle or by card effect. And unfortunately, you cannot do that with the tokens, so it doesn't blend as well with the Brave token theme. For our Sword Souls, we are running 1 of our Tactician and 1 of our Swordmaster. These are the only ones that we're running. These are more so used because they are searchable, and because we can use them in combos. We are not relying on these. This is not a Sword Soul deck. The last monsters that we're running is just triple Gamma Seal. This deck doesn't have a lot of room for hand traps, and unfortunately in this format I am kind of the mindset that if you're not able to run a bunch of hand traps, it's probably better just to run board breaking cards. And Gamma Seal has a lot of synergy here, since Vishuddha can push it back into our hand so that we can use it again, and so can our Dragon Steed. So realistically, you could end up hitting somebody 3 times with the same kaiju in the same turn. For our spells, we are running triple Rite of Armesia, 1 Journey of Destiny, and 2 of our Dragon Steed. Rite of Armesia is the best card in the deck since it triggers your entire engine, and you need this in order to use your Brave token package as a whole. Journey of Destiny is activated off of Rite of Armesia, and this gets you your equipped spells and your monsters. So functionally, Rite of Armesia is the entire Brave token package. Additionally, we are running 2 Dragon Steed for 2 reasons. First, this is usable no matter what part of the deck that you get. If you get the Tenyi part, you're able to equip it to your monk so that you can still bounce, because all this needs in order to have its bounce effect is to be equipped to a non-effect monster. Additionally, Journey of Destiny lets you search an equip spell if a monster is normal or special summoned. It does not specifically require you to normal or special summon. So if you start off your engine using Rite of Armesia, get your Journey of Destiny, search your Dragon Steed. On the opponent's turn, your opponent is going to normal or special summon, and you can search your second one so that you have follow-up on the next turn. It's very good to have 2 equip spells. I am liking it quite a bit. For our Tenyi spells, we are running triple of our Vessel of the Dragon cycle, triple of our Dragon Circle, and 1 Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi. Vessel is an extremely good 3 of. I believe both of these are 3 ofs in any Tenyi build, but in this build in particular, Vessel of the Dragon Cycle is a free card either way. If you get to your Rite of Armesia or you get to your Tenyis, you're still going to be able to use this Foolish Burial and Search. Additionally, it works both ways with our Dragon Circle as well, since you can use Journey of Destiny to discard your Dragon Circle in order to search, and at that point you can use this card's Grave effect in order to search for your Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi, Flawless Perfection, or any of your monsters. Flawless Perfection is largely here because it is searchable, but it also has synergy with our Brave token stuff, since it protects all non-effect monsters from monster effects. So this does work with our token. Additionally, you're likely going to be able to draw 2 of this card, The last of our spells we're running is one Called by the Grave, one Foolish Burial, and one Foolish Burial of Goods. Foolish Burial of Goods is here largely just to send Dragon Circle. Foolish Burial is extremely good, since you can use your Aquamancer in order to search Rite of Armesia if it's in your graveyard, so functionally this is a Rhoda for your Rite of Armesia, and it also sends any of your Tenyi spirits. And Called by the Grave is Called by Grave. Hand traps are annoying in any deck. For our traps, we are playing Sword Soul Sudden Shift, Skill Drain, and Double Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi. Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi is searchable thanks to our Dragon Circle. Additionally, all this requires is for you to have a non-effect monster, so your token does fit the qualifications. Sword Soul Sudden Shift is searchable off of our Synchro monster, so it is an extremely good one-up to have. Additionally, there is a really good combo with this card. If you have, say, your Monk, you have your Water and Grave, you can destroy your own monster, two of your opponent's cards, and then use your water to bring back your monster and pop an opponent's card. So in that situation, this is a 1 for 3. And Skill Drain is just here to give us some free wins. For our Synchros, we are running one Duke and one Baroness de Fleur. These are our level 10 Synchros. We make these off of our Tactician. If you can, you're always going to make Baroness de Fleur. This is an Omni Negate. Unfortunately, you are going to be locked into Worms a lot, so in that situation, you make Duke. Duke isn't bad though. If a card is banished, you get to banish one card from your opponent's field and graveyard, which is pretty powerful. Additionally, it gains 100 attack for each banished card, and monsters your opponent control lose 100 for each banished card, so this can get out of hand pretty quickly. For our level 8 Synchros, these are the primary ones that we're going to be going into. We have 2 of our Swordmaster, 1 of our Draco Berserker, and 1 Boxia. Swordmaster, playing 2 of it does come up since this is a negate on the opponent's turn, regardless of whether or not you are locked into Tenyi effects. Additionally, on Synchro Summon, this lets us add any of our Sword Soul cards, which does work very well with this deck. You don't have to draw into your Sword Soul cards in order to gain access to your Sword Soul cards, since all you really need is to use one of your level 7s and your level 1 tuner in order to go into it. So this is really strong. If you're not going to use the Sword Soul stuff, you might even consider going ahead and just running one of this, just because it is a free negate for monster effects as well. Additionally, we have Draco Berserker of the Tenyi in order to go ahead and OTK. Additionally, this gives us a little more diversity in terms of our interactions. If we already have our Swordmaster, we can go ahead and go into this, and Baxia is for clearing our opponent's board. The last Synchro that we're running here is 1 Herald of the Arclight. This comes up more often than you'd think, just being able to make this with our level 1 tuner and our level 3 Aquamancer. Finally, for our links, we are just playing the Tenyis. We're playing 1 of the rank 4, our 2 rank 3s, 2 of the rank 2, and 3 of the rank 1. Finally, down here at the bottom, I have some side deck choices or some alternative choices. If you decide to change things up in the main deck, or you just don't like something, want to change it out for something else, or just test some stuff, these are some good options down here below. Effect Veiler is the first one I have listed. This is a level 1 tuner, and it's also a really impactful hand trap this format, but being a level 1 tuner means that you can use this with one of your level 7s in order to go into one of your high impact level 8 synchro monsters just right off the bat. You don't have to use it as a hand trap, and that's why I really like it. Additionally, if you want to run Ash Blossom or something like that, you can go ahead and go into either of your level 10s. So that's pretty strong, but Swordmaster is one of your high impact synchro monsters, so being able to access it as early as possible is a little bit more useful. Additionally, I have Parallelixies. You do have your level, or your Link 1 with a down pointing arrow. Any deck with a Link 1 with a down pointing arrow should probably at least think about running Parallelixies for just a free rank 4. It's very useful. Additionally, I have Mermare listed. If you don't like the Sword Soul cards, you don't have to run them. You can run Mermare instead. Foolish Burial this card with something like Vessel of the Dragon Cycle, and then just bring it back with your Link 2 in order to make a free copy of your Link 4. Additionally, if you choose to play a more dedicated going second build, you can play more Kaijus or side into more Kaijus. These cards have a lot of synergy with the deck, so they are something to consider. Next up, I have Ecclesia the Virtuous listed. This card is very interesting. You don't really want to play this if you're going first, but if you're playing a more dedicated going second build, this card can special summon itself, tribute itself off, and then summon a Sword Soul monster from deck. This is relevant because Rite of Armesia locks you out of being able to use the effects of monsters that were normal summoned in the same turn. That's why we don't play more of a dedicated Sword Soul package, but if you really want to play a going second build, being able to use this card to get around the restrictions of Rite of Armesia and still play your Sword Soul cards is something to consider. Additionally, I have a few other monsters listed here who get around the effect of Rite of Armesia, locking you out of the effects of your normal summoned monsters. To start things off, I have Thunder King Ryo. This card is a card that you can normal summon after you're done comboing in order to lock your opponent out of being able to add cards from their deck to their hand. It locks you out of it as well, but if you're done comboing at that point, it's a little bit more valuable, so this is something to consider siding. Additionally, this has a nice effect where if your opponent would special summon exactly one monster, you can tribute this off in order to negate the summon and destroy it. So this locks your opponent out of adding cards and can work as a negate for a monster being summoned from the extra deck, like a Synchro, Link, or Xyz, stuff like that. Denko Sekka is a card I would 100% side in this deck all the time. You don't have a dedicated normal summon, so being able to normal summon this card if you're going second, lock your opponent out of back row, it's super, super good. If you're playing against Tri Brigade and they make it 2 negate Appaloosa, that on its own is basically just game. Additionally, you don't have a dedicated normal summon, so you can 100% play Sphere mode, just tribute 3 of your opponent's monsters, give them that, play anyway, kinda broken. Additionally, I have Nightmare Corruptor Ibli listed here. This is a bit of a funny tech choice. I really like this card. This is one of my favorite cards ever printed, so of course I had to mention it. You can normal summon this card at the end of your combo, link it off for a Lingeribo, give it to your opponent, and then lock your opponent out of being able to special summon monsters, excluding Link monsters. It's not super, super good in this build, but it is cheesy, and it might snag you some wins. So it's pretty funny. If you really want to troll people, this is a funny option. Additionally, you have Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. You can actually summon this in this deck. Your counter trap, if it is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, can just give you a free non-effect monster from the extra deck, and I believe Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon has the most attack of any of those monsters. Additionally, I have Yazi listed here. Yazi is an interesting option. I don't know if you really have the space for it, but you can make this card, which is something to consider because you do have the ability to summon any worm monster off of this card if it's destroyed by battle or by card effect, which is a large portion of the deck. The way that you make this is by using your Aquamancer plus one of the level 4 tokens spawned off of one of your Sword Soul cards. Finally, I also have Journey of Destiny, Starlight Papillon, and Woods of Lost Flowers listed here. In my initial combos, I was showing some combos using the Woods of Lost Flowers and Papillon, and I think it's something that you could run in a different build. I don't think it's worth running in this one. You get a lot of benefits off of your Dragon Steed, so it's just a little bit better as a second equip spell to just have 2 of these rather than be running Starlight Papillon. These 2 together makes it to where an equipped monster that is equipped with Starlight Papillon is unaffected by the activated effects of opponent's cards. Unfortunately, that's just not quite as strong as it sounds. If your opponent makes an access code talker, they can just go ahead and pop this, and then pop this, and then pop the monster. I guess they don't even have to pop this. They can just pop the field spell, and then pop the monster. It's very similar to, if you've ever played Marincess, how Marincess requires the field spell in order to ensure that the monster in the extra monster zone isn't affected by anything. You can still just go ahead and pop the field spell and then pop the monster. So it's a lot of requirements, a lot of setup that you have to get to in order to just make something that can still be outed by an access code talker. Additionally, you do get a lot of protection just by equipping your Herald of the Arclight with your Dragon Steed, since the ability to make it to where it can't be destroyed by battle once is not the effect of Starlight Papillon, that's the effect of Journey of Destiny. So you're still making a Herald of the Arclight that can't be destroyed by battle once, and you still have the ability to re-equip the Dragon Steed to one of your tokens if you have your token out. It's just, I don't think it's worth running in this build. I did a lot of testing with it, it was just kind of bricky. Journey of Destiny is another card that you could consider running a second copy of, but I think it kind of falls under the Starlight Pavilion and the Woods of Lost Flowers kind of scenario. It's a little bit better than those, but it's one of those things where, like, yes, it's good to have the option, but obviously you don't want to be dead drawing it, and this card is set up through your Rite of Armesia anyway. If you have this card and you don't have Rite of Armesia, what this does, as opposed to these cards which are kind of dead, is this does get you to Rite of Armesia, and then it gets you an equip spell. What it doesn't do is it doesn't set up your Griffin, which is kind of the point of the engine. Additionally, having one in hand with a Rite of Armesia isn't all that good, because you're going to be getting it anyway. The only real benefit to running multiple copies is you do have the ability to reactivate it if your opponent pops it. This card does have kind of a target on its back, but it's kind of up to you as to whether or not you think running 2 is all that valuable, or whether or not at that point in the game you're already so far ahead on advantage that it doesn't matter.